What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, talking today about next-gen gaming, because as strange as it is to think about, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are coming up in a matter of months, and I've kind of been looking at the facts, the hard details as to what makes these consoles good or bad. And while I've been researching these pieces of technology, one question I keep seeing people ask me is, Dreamcastguy, which are you personally more hyped about? Which one seems like the better deal as of now? Well, this is a complicated question because I think it all comes down to the Holy Trinity. The main things that try and get you to buy a next-gen console, which is the controller, the price tag, and the games. You want to make sure that the product itself, no matter what it looks like, is a best value for your buck, right? Well, let's try and dig into both these consoles as we know them today. Now, just for full disclosure, I am filming this on May 17th, so if anything changes in the future, obviously some of this information is going to be a little bit out of date. But as it stands now, I think that these systems are impressive, but I'm curious for what's really going to happen. So let's start off by taking a look at the PlayStation 5. Now, as of today, the PlayStation 5 is very much still an elusive animal. I mean, as weird as this is, the biggest problem with this debate is definitely the fact that Sony is so dead silent. They have yet to do an official reveal for the console itself. They have shown us the controller in the DualSense. I think I'm warming up to it. When I first saw it, I was kind of conflicted because I'm a huge lover of the DualShock 4. I think it's a really refined and nice console. I'm glad they've actually done some updates and patches so these things don't run out of battery in 2 minutes because of the spotlight on the controller. But even still, I'm curious what we're going to be playing on the PlayStation 5, and I am still curious what the box is going to look like. When we compare it to the Xbox Series X, in this department when it comes to just raw information, Microsoft is winning by a mile. Microsoft has revealed how big their refrigerator is going to be. This console kind of looks like a big old chonker, but at least they're showing it. Xbox Series X, we already know a surprising amount about its size, its power, its internals, its system on chip, its controllers, some of its exclusives, and some of the plans for the future. The PlayStation 5, though, I think it has one major thing that is just, it's too important to ignore, which is exclusives. I mean, this console generation, PlayStation 4 completely killed it. I don't think that this is a debate. I think they've sold now, what, like 114 million PlayStation 4s, which is just such a staggering amount of billions of dollars of profit. And the reason this happened isn't because the console is made out of magic or automatically vacuums your floor. It's because the PlayStation 4 has those games. It has exclusives. Like, just think about it. Ratchet & Clank, Bloodborne, God of War, Spider-Man, the Persona 5. What else do we have? There's just so much. I actually wrote a couple down here just for fun. What about Dreams, Tearaway, Horizon Zero Dawn? I mean, not only that, there's thousands of exclusive indie games that were only made on the PlayStation 4 because Sony started going to game jams and just buying out interesting games so they would only exist on their platform. Now, I know what you're saying. Okay, that's PlayStation 4. What do you think about PlayStation 5? Well, in my opinion, the PlayStation 4 is the best argument for the PlayStation 5. We know that they managed to make good games, they managed to make big narrative experiences. I am very confident that these exclusives are going to carry over in sequels to the PlayStation 5. Now, personally, I'm completely obsessed with Spider-Man. I read the comics, I love the movies, but that game, the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man, is a masterpiece. I mean, that game is just so fun. In fact, just a couple days ago, I was streaming it because it's so fun to just swing around. The idea that we're going to be getting another one of those that's expanded, bigger, better, faster, we're going to be able to hit unforeseen levels of detail in an open world experience. And that's a thing that will never exist on the Xbox Series X. We have to just acknowledge the fact that PlayStation, the biggest chip in their pocket right now is games. But switching gears, let's talk about the Xbox Series X for a minute, because I feel like Xbox Series X, they have a very strange ability right now that nobody else in the business quite has, which is just raw investment. Microsoft is a mega conglomerate. They have hundreds of billions of dollars to just throw at stuff. They can buy game studios. They can buy exclusives. They can get marketing deals. They can do expansive stuff. But most importantly, I think that on the topic of price, I fully believe that the Xbox Series X is going to be cheaper than the PlayStation 5. And I think it's because Microsoft can afford to lose the money. Microsoft can afford to put this thing on the shelf for $50 too cheap. They can afford to lose money on the console itself and then make it up on the games. They're able to actually make the financial investment in their consoles that Sony, quite frankly, can't. Sony needs that profit. Sony needs that money. And yes, they're going to make additional money on the games, but Sony actually needs to make sure that they're filling up their banks on the consoles, the controllers, and the software. Whereas Microsoft is in a weird space. I feel like they're kind of fitting into what I guess I would call the AAA budget experience. And I'm so interested in it. What I mean by that is that the Xbox Series X is going to be probably a good deal cheaper than we're expecting, and they also are going to have a secondary tier. Remember, they've already talked about the fact that this thing called Project Lockhart, there's going to be like a budget version of the Xbox Series X that has, I think, like slightly less power, but additionally, and no hard drive, but is like a much cheaper system. So you are going to be having next-gen gaming for maybe $350, $400, and on top of this, the thing that kind of blows my mind is the Xbox Series X is going to be fully inclusive of Games Pass. And Games Pass is still one of the best deals in gaming. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when I think about the fact that I am never going to buy an Xbox Series X game. I mean, flat out, I am never going to buy a single one of them at full price, because with Games Pass, you get every Microsoft Studio game just included, which means I'm not buying Halo Infinite, I'm just getting Games Pass. I'm not buying Gears of War 6, I'm just getting Games Pass. Whether it's Horizon, like Forza Horizon, I'm just going to get all of those for, what, $5 a month? $7 a month? That's so dirt cheap. I can't help but just say that this seems like the budget way to next gen. I'm kind of curious how that gamble pays out. I mean, Microsoft is still trying to dump a huge amount of money down the hole and hoping it pays off. But as it stands now, if I'm really measuring both of the experiences, oddly enough, I'm still more curious about the PlayStation 5. I'm still more excited for the PlayStation 5, even though I feel like it's definitely going to have less features. I can definitely take a step back. I am purchasing both. I'm a YouTuber. I need both to create content. I am going to be buying the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I can admit that the PlayStation 5 is a step down in certain regards. It's not going to have as much backwards compatibility. It's going to have certain things that are just lacking. But I'm more invested in the games. Sony has been absolutely killing it with exclusives this generation, and now it just seems like that trend is going to carry into the future. I'm curious what something is going to look like. Like Bloodborne 2, let's face it, Bloodborne 2, there's been rumors about it. Bloodborne 2 running at 60 frames a second and maybe like 4K or something like that on a PlayStation 5 sounds incredible. The fact that we'll get another peek at Yharnam and have even more big, gory boss fights and stuff seems so magnificent. It definitely seems so impressive, especially because I've heard some leaks and rumors about things like there's apparently, and we'll see this in a couple weeks, maybe an exclusive Silent Hill game coming to the PlayStation 5, like a total reboot to the franchise. I mean, what does this even mean? Sony has kind of built themselves into a peculiar spot where they need to be successful. They need to sell games. They need this console to be a big hit, because while they did win this console generation, they're still not exactly the biggest and most powerful company in the business. I mean, right now, PlayStation is kind of in a step below financially of Microsoft and Nintendo. Both of these companies have way more cash in the bank, so they're able to experiment and do stuff that Sony just financially can't. If I had to just boil it down to the core assets, that's what it is. I'm still most excited for the PlayStation 5 when it comes to games. I'm still just so ready to play these sequels like Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which might have multiplayer, big expansive experiences with no load times whatsoever. To me, it's not even about graphics, it's not even about tech, it's not even about the controllers, so much as it is just about those games, about getting me invested in the universes. I want to see God of War again. I want to see the next escapade of Kratos. I'm more curious about that than just Master Chief. While I definitely believe that Microsoft is doing things right and they're trying to just set up the bricks to be more successful at the end of next generation, I think that at the start, I still fully believe that the launch of the PlayStation 5 is going to be more impressive than the launch of the Xbox Series X. But I guess we're going to see very soon. Maybe in a matter of like 6 months, we'll be playing these consoles for ourselves. So I'm hyped. I hope you're hyped. And tell me some of your thoughts in the comments down below, because this is just a debate. This is just for fun, and I hope nobody gets butthurt. Thanks so much for watching this, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I want to show you guys something funny. A couple months ago, this spotlight I use was flickering a little bit, so I tried to buy a $30 spotlight off of the internet, and they sent me a construction spotlight. Let me just show you this. This is easily one of the dumbest things I've ever done, and you guys know me, I've done a lot of dumb stuff, but check this out. Here is a construction spotlight for absolutely no... Why do I have a construction spotlight? I'm never going to be able to use this. It's so bright it instantly blows out the lens. Do you see it? How dumb am I? Why did I buy this for $30? I'm never going to use this. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.